Welcome to this Carbon Tracker Initiative Explainer. My name is Piotr, part of the communications team, and in this video, I'm joined by founder and executive director Mark Campanale for a critical conversation on new regulatory developments by the Finance Conduct Authority, or FCA, and also sign up to our newsletter so you're always in the loop to receive our latest work and updates. But Mark, thank you very much for joining this explainer.
Thanks, Piotr.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots here to break down. I think the first thing really is, what is this consultation, the FCA consultation, actually about?
So every time a company raises money on the London Stock Exchange through issuing shares, they issue a prospectus. And for the last 25 years or so, it's been controlled by the EU. And now we've exited the European Union. The UK gets to design its own prospectus rules.
Right.
So it's out of consultation, and in it, we've suggested for coal, oil, and gas companies that the regulators consider that there is a new climate stress test against the goals of the Paris Agreement. So if you're trying to produce new reserves, just tell investors in the prospectus why you think the new reserves development are consistent with the Paris climate goals.
Right. Okay. And so just for people who are watching, this is the consultation CP24/12, right?
That's it.
Yeah. And it's essentially looking, these rules fall under the Public Offices and Emissions to Trading Framework, or POATR for short. What exactly is the proposal? And to you, why does it matter?
Yeah, so the proposal is for the introduction of what we're calling an atmospheric viability test. So when you produce a prospectus, mineral companies, oil and gas companies and coal companies, they have to produce what's called a competent persons report. Right. And that is an independent expert that's hired by the company to say, we've evaluated the reserves, this is what you've got, and that technical document is available to potential investors. Now, historically, when you're doing the test, you're only really interested in two questions. One is the geological question. Can you get your mineral out of the ground? If you found oil, great, but what's your likelihood of getting out of the ground? Is it recoverable? And then the second test is a financial test. Can you get it out of the ground at current market prices? So if the price of oil is, say, $70 a barrel, and it costs you $100 a barrel to get out of the ground, then obviously you're not going to make money. It's not a reserve. What's missing from that is there's no assessment of, well, there may be space for it in the ground, but is there any space for the emissions in the atmosphere?
Right.
You've got to consider that, because that's really what the Paris goals are about. So this atmospheric viability test just simply applies a climate test. It's a scenario test, saying under say the International Energy Agency's 1.5 net zero scenario, or under the stated policy scenario, what proportion of your reserves that you plan to develop in the future are consistent with those scenarios, and then report that in the competent persons report. First time it will ever have been done, and that's what the regulation calls for. And investors have until the 18th of October to submit their thoughts. And Carbon Tracker, on our website, we've produced some materials, including a briefing for investors and a template that sets out some of the reasons why it should be supported. And you can download it off the usual place, carbontracker.org. And we're happy to answer any questions that people may have before they write in.
Yeah, we certainly will, and they'll also be in the description of this YouTube video on our channel, and freely available in the newsletter if they are subscribers on that. Which if they aren't, they should definitely become one. But I think maybe one of the last questions on this is then: so what are the solutions, and how exactly is Carbon Tracker contributing to those, to those sorts of potential solutions?
So Carbon Tracker, we have a degree of technical expertise around accounting and around disclosure. We have oil and gas experts in the organization. So the real next questions come is who will do the competent persons reports climate test, the atmospheric viability test? And when you look at the consulting firms, there's some huge firms that produce these reports, the existing ones. I've looked at the website of a few of them, and they have the climate environmental experts. They're going to go away and have to start thinking about how to produce the content. And there will be some discussion in coming months as the consultation goes to implementation of how do you write one. And we're spending a bit of time thinking about what it looks like and what's important. So Carbon Tracker, we're bringing our knowledge and our expertise into answering that question. And we're also talking to standard setters, and we're writing to people like the Society of Petroleum Engineers. And in the UK, for coal and mining, there's a group called PERC, and they're part of a bigger group called CRISCO, which is the Global Standard Setters Coordinating Committee, who cover minerals and oil and gas to try and work out actually how to change the prospectus. But the real question, Piotr, is what's the benefit to the environment? And it's a very simple one, is that Carbon Tracker from our inception, we said that if you invest too much into the development of reserves that are not needed, this will lead to stranded assets. And this new test, you'll be able to see, well, when is the time to start to write down coal mines and oil rigs, and why are you developing reserves that are not consistent with the goals of the Paris Agreement? Please explain why. And the market will be able to properly price those risks for the first time once that information is properly in the public domain. And the company will have to discuss with potential investors why it thinks the reserves they're funding have a place. Last month, Saudi Aramco issued I think it was a $6 or $8 billion bond. Some of those bonds, half the bonds, are dated 2064, way beyond when we're supposed to be net zero.
Net zero, yeah.
So you really have to ask, why issue such long-dated bonds if we've actually come off using fossil fuels? And what we think the revised prospectus will actually start to help to answer some of these questions for investors very concerned about risk and risk management.
Indeed, and I think the illustration there of your in-depth knowledge and the value that Carbon Tracker is bringing to this timely matter. Just a reminder for everyone that the deadline for this is the 18th of October of this year, and to access our template and more information about it at our website carbontracker.org.
And listen to the recording or join our call on the 18th of September. You can register on the website and listen to the webinar where we go into the details.
All of that information will also be in the description. But that's Mark Campanale, founder and executive director of Carbon Tracker Initiative. I've been Piotr. Thank you very much for taking the time of watching this video, and we do hope to see you as part of the consultation process, and look forward to engaging with you in the future at our events as well. Bye-bye.